election within 2022. Huh? Um, huh?
They can hold it on 2020. They are ready to hold it on 2022.
1 minute suspension. I'm confused.
Session suspended.
Ito po, ang sinabi nila dito eh.
Saan ba yung transcript na mako-compromise?
Ready to resume, Mr. President.
Session resumed.
The principal reason, Mr. President, why the Good Committee of Central Marcos has proposed May of 2023 is because of the opinion of the COMELEC that they would prefer having a 1-year gap between the two elections. Is that correct?
That's correct, thank you.
Now, however, on September 16, 2019, the opinion of the Executive Director of COMELEC, Mr. Tolentino, is that, to use his words, regarding the holding of the election earlier than May of 2023, is that the gap is too short. But they said, as quoted also by the good sponsor, the COMELEC said, mahihirapan kami, but it doesn't mean that we cannot do it. So they can do it, having the election with less than 1 year of a gap.
Kung magagawa raw po kasi good soldiers sila.
Yeah.
Pero makikita po natin na medyo mahirap dahil takot sila maulit yung nangyari sa 2010 na napakaraming failure of election, umabot sa halos 2 milyon ang hindi nakaboto.
All right, so from the earlier answers of the good sponsor, C is amenable to an amendment which will hold the election in December of 2022. Is that a correct understanding, Mr. President?
Yes, that is correct, Minority Leader and Mr. President, because I too am not very keen to keep extending these terms forever.
So, at the appropriate time, the committee will propose as a committee amendment that the elections will be held on December 2022.
Thank you very much, Minority Leader.
All right. Now, let's go to the budget aspect of this. In the present National Expenditure Program, there is an item in the COMELEC budget for Sangguniang, Kabataan, and Barangay election. And in the National Expenditure Program, the COMELEC has a budget of 5,774,958,000 pesos. If we move the election to December of 2022, it means that we can reduce the budget of the COMELEC by this much.
Certainly, Mr. President and Minority Leader, I think there would be no reason for the 5.8 billion election budget for barangays and SKs if we postpone them to the following year.
All right, so at least that's on record. We can reduce the budget of COMELEC by 5.774.
And if I may recommend,
yes,
Mr. President
yes.
and Senator Drilon, there are so many budgets that we are hearing that have been cut. And among them are very important programs such as the salary standardization, number 5 for government employees, including the teachers, the agrarian reform program, whose distribution should end by 2022.
Yeah. Thank you, Madam Senator. Now, likewise, considering that the present law would call for an election next year, would the present General Appropriations Act, to the knowledge of the good sponsor, carry items as a preparation for the next year barangay election?
As far as I understand, there are no items as yet.
No, there are no items. Are there actual appropriations in the present 2019 General Appropriations Act?
In the 2019 General Appropriations Act, there are none.
All right, that's our common belief. Let me, however, quote to you the September 16, 2019 Committee on Finance hearing of the Comelec budget.
Sinasabi silang 1 billion.
And according to Ms. Alarcon,
So what happens now?
let me quote it verbatim.
Who is Miss Alarcon?
Director Alarcon of the Comelec. I think she's with the finance section of the Comelec, but
All right.
she's a Comelec resource person.
All right.
All right. Let me quote the pertinent transcript. Your Honor, Ms. Alarcon, Your Honor, the SKBE, or the Sangguniang Kabataan and Barangay election, has a budget of 5,744,940,000. This provides for all necessary expenses for the 63 million registered voters. It has 177,000 clustered precincts out of the 389,000 established precincts. Now, Your Honor, please, based on the current statement of allotment, obligations, and balances of the Comelec, still has a balance of 3.7 billion in its current budget, but these are already earmarked as follows: 1 billion pesos for the preparatory activities of the SK and Barangay election. So there is actually a 1 billion budget that they have allotted out of their savings of 3.7 billion.
My information, Minority Leader, is that in fact, the 1 billion is called from the savings. It was not a separate item.
Okay.
However, as you rightly cited, 1 billion was earmarked for early procurements involving the carbonless paper, ballot paper, other accountable and non-accountable forms. Not a cent has as yet been expended. I am guaranteed.
Very good, because in that case, then we can reduce further the proposed budget for 2020 of the Comelec by 1 billion, because there is a 1 billion earmark for an election which will not take place.
That is correct. They are already resigned to that. As I spoke to them earlier, you should be decreased by 1 billion.
1 billion more. 1 billion more than the 5.7 billion.
That's correct. A total of 6.7 po.
All right. Yes. With that understanding, Mr. President, I think this representation could terminate the interpellation, and we will just await the committee amendments in order that we can vote properly on this measure.
Do I take it, Mr. Minority Leader, that for the 2019 budget, they indeed have already a budget if elections were going to be held for this October?
From the way we understand it, the Comelec, sir, has a savings
Yes.
of 3 billion pesos, more or less. 3.7 billion.
Yes.
Out of the 3.7 billion in the current appropriations budget, they have earmarked 1 billion
For the barangay elections.
for the barangay election.
This October?
No, for 2020, sir, for
Yes,
next
but-
year.
But the elections were supposed to be held this October. Am I
No.
right? Am
The
I
The
right?
elections,
election-
Mr.
Next
The
President.
elections were supposed to be held in May of
May of next year.
next
And
year.
therefore, as part of their preparatory preparation, they have earmarked 1 billion out of their savings of 3.7 billion
okay, savings.
for SK and barangay elections, and another 775 billion in the national expenditure program next
For
year.
2020.
So they are talking
20,
about, and in fact, they were asking for additional 2 billion pesos for next year in their presentation. So they were looking at a possible over 8 billion, almost 9 billion pesos for the SK and the barangay election, all of which now will be available for other realignments, for other worthy projects, Mr. President. And that is why it is very important that as early as we can, we pass this measure so that there is no reason anymore for the COMELEC to continue with the preparatory activities geared towards the holding of the election next year,
Right.
because these preparatory activities will involve spending of public funds, which will be useless.
All right, Senator Lacson, you were seeking the floor earlier.
Thank you very much for the urgency and fulsome support from the minority.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. After hearing three interpellators, I don't think I heard one very basic question. And if the sponsor would care to yield to that one very basic question, why are we postponing?
We are postponing because we're in violation of the law. Both the local government code as well as RA 9164 indicate that barangay officials as well as SK officials should have a term of 3 years. If we carry on and have the elections earlier, we will in fact only be giving them 2 years. Less than 2 years, that is correct.
If that's the reason, are we not also violating the law by giving it that reason? There was a barangay election in May of 2018.
That is correct.
Why don't we just follow the regular term of office and hold the next election in May of 2021?
That is correct. That was the first discussion in the first hearing we had with the minority leader, that May 2021 could be the next election.
So are we violating the law if we hold the elections or the barangay election in May of 2021?
However, there were...
And are we not violating the law if we will hold the election in October or May of 2023?
Firstly, I think we will not be in violation of May 2021. However...
So let me, did I hear that clearly? There is no violation of the law if we hold it in May of 2021. So why not hold it in May 2021?
There are a number of reasons.
That's what I'm asking. Anong reasons?
Yes, a number of reasons, in fact, na unang-una, dapat mauna yung national election sapagkat ang preparasyon noon 2.5 years. Pagkatapos, yung issue rin po na talagang pinoproblema, yung procurement kasi and the bids and awards, pag nagsapaw-sapaw, magkakaroon ng problema. And thirdly, I think there are precedents, in fact, of 2013, 2018, and so on.
I don't get it, Mr. President. Are there political considerations here? Meaning, if we allow or we hold the barangay election 1 year ahead of the national and local elections, mas magastos. Kasi marami manghihinging barangay chairman. Barangay. Ganun ba yung dahilan? Let's be practical and I will yield.
No, I think
I will submit.
in reality, the sense was that there was no desire for a proxy war on the barangay level that would presage the national election. Instead, what we preferred was there would be a new mandate for whoever the national or local officials would be, and therefore a neater, more effective governance would be instituted kung pagkatapos na ng national, yung barangay at SK.
Kasi kung practical yung dahilan, papayag naman po kami. Kung mas magastos kung mauna yung barangay election kesa sa local and national election, then let's call a spade a spade. Pero kung violation of the law, na wala naman, the difference is the same. We're violating the law anyway. So why don't we just follow the regular term of office of barangay officials and hold elections in May of 2021? Hindi na tayo nag-uusap ng mag-overlap, mag-extend, mag-overage. Wala na tayo pag-uusapan gano'n, Mr. President. Why are we complicating things?
I don't think we're complicating things. As a matter of fact, we're probably simplifying them in as much as we are all set for the hybrid election, and we'd like to prepare for that for 2022. Ito, manual po to. Another complication kasi nga, ibang-iba naman yung eleksyon ng manual kesa sa hybrid na bago at yung existing automated. So napakadaming gagawin between now and then. And at the same time, umaalma rin yung ating barangay officials kasi bitin nga yung kanilang termino.
Kung May 2021, mabibitin ng termino?
Well,
I think so.
3 years po sila, pero yun nga, ang nais natin lahat, talagang bigyan ng fresh mandate ang sino man national at local officials na papasok. And thereafter, gawin ng regular lahat ng barangay and SK elections 1 year after the national and local. Para hindi na papalit-palit, hindi na parati na lang pinopostpone at inaamyandahan yung batas, katulad ngayon.
Yeah. May binulong pa sa akin staff ko. Ano rin pagkakaiba kung 1 year before or 1 year after?
Malaking bagay po.
Ano po yung bagay na malaki?
1 year before, as we saw in the past, it becomes a proxy war at the barangay level. Nagte-testing lahat ng national, lahat ng mayor, kung sino yung mga bata-bata nilang barangay. At least pagkatapos po, talagang mas maayos na at fresh mandate yung mga bagong administrasyon.
Anyway, I'm not convinced but I will vote in favor of that measure.
Thank you very much. Pwede na rin po, Mr. President.
Majority Leader.
Are you last? Monday. Monday. Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, we have one more interpellator, Senator Ralph Recto, but he requested if he can ask on Monday, Mr. President. So with that,
We leave it up to you.
yes, Mr. President. He's our Senate President Pro Temp. He's my boss also, so he's winking at me. So it's on Monday, Mr. President. Mr.
right.
President, I move to suspend consideration of the bill of our Honorable Senator Amy Marcos, Senate Bill number 1043. I so move.
All right, but as long as you guarantee that the Senate Bill 1055 will go first before the interpellation.
Yes, Mr.
Because
President.
the interpellation of the President Pro Tem might last about 2 or 3 hours.
Yes, Mr. President. I just hope that by that time our chair, I just hope that by that time our chairman of the Committee on Justice will be doing much better.
Up and about, all
He's a
right.
bit sick.
All right, so any objection? Hearing none, consideration is suspended.
Mr. President, may I ask for a 1-minute Senate suspension?
1 minute, Senate minute, you mean?
1 Senate minute suspension.
Session
Before,
suspended
but
for...
before we suspend, Mr. President, we'd just like to recognize, we have students. We have students from San Beda University, Manila, on a study tour. I believe these are the students here on our right side. Welcome to the Senate, Mr. President, they're here with us,
All right.
listening to our proceedings. With that, I move for a suspension of 1 minute, Senate minute.
Any objection? Hearing none, Senate suspended, the session is suspended for a few Senate minutes.